Hello, San Francisco, and welcome once again to the Angelic Troublemakers. I'm your host, Alan Jones, and on today's program, we got Penguin Journalism Emboldens Racism. I am bringing you this program today based on some interesting events that have happened in the last, month. What I'm going to do is I am going to use the habits of a penguin to describe something that's going on in journalism. But at the end of the program, you'll be able to get my penguin analogy. If I could go to my screen here, I'm going to start off by showing you a video.
Ibaka, and they can't save it, goes out of bounds. It's going to be Golden State ball as Lowry goes diving into the stands. He's upset with a fan. Talking to Mark Davis about it. Lowry and a fan join. Another great block.
What happens here is one of the Toronto Raptors
with the rejection
went for the ball. And you see the Lowry jersey, number 7?
Lowry obviously felt the fan did something inappropriate.
It was someone in the stands pushed.
Looks like he's saying he pushed me. I don't know if he's talking about one of the Warriors or one of the fans.
It's supposed to be
he
one
was
of
upset
the fans.
with the fans sitting
shaking his
courtside.
head. I'm going to get back.
Goes in.
Oh.
And goes crashing into the fan. There you see the there's that in the
one guy
blue shirt
pushes him. Now, this is unacceptable behavior. What we found out later is this person, his name is Mark Stevens. He was sitting in a seat that cost maybe $90,000. But who is Mark Stevens? He's part owner of the Golden State Warriors. And what that scene showed was in the June 5th, 2019 Game 3 between the Warriors and the Toronto Raptors, 10 minutes to go in the game. Warriors were down by about 10. I witnessed the whole thing. And this owner is sitting in his seat. And when the Toronto Raptors player went into the seats trying to rescue a ball from going out of bounds, this owner wasn't even touched. He was 2 seats away from where the player went into the stands or the crowd. But he reaches over and pushes the Toronto Raptors player and hurls some insults at him. Told him to go F himself. Go F yourself is what he said. Well, then the league, everything went over and we'll talk about it the next day. And we find out the league decided to lay down the law. Lay down the law. And they ended up banning this owner for 1 year. Can't have anything to do with NBA basketball, and fined him $500,000. Well, that ain't good enough for me. Now, let me go back to my screen here. I'm going to bring up another issue. And I'm going to point out what I can't get.
Interviewed Mr. Stevens to get his side of the story. We, of course, collected all the video and interviewed some of the people who were sitting nearby. We spoke to Kyle Lowry after the game.
Notice he said he
gathered
spoke
the
to Kyle
facts,
Lowry,
and then I think that the ultimate decision on the discipline came about over the course of today in discussions between the league office and the Warriors.
Why not a lifetime ban?
I think we recognize that it's not a science in terms of making these decisions.
Wait a minute. He said this is not a science. I'm going to break in here just a bit. The commissioner of the NBA said that this is not a science. Well, okay, I'll go along with that. It was a one-day investigation. Now, I appreciate the fact that the NBA commissioner acted swiftly. However, I don't like what he did. When he says that this is not an exact science, if you'll recall, a few months ago, a fan hurled insults at a player, and the Utah Jazz banned the fan for life. Okay. Did the NBA have any problem with that? No. Let's continue on here.
Decisions. I think ultimately we felt that given how contrite Mr. Stevens was.
Wait a minute. This billionaire owner was contrite. And now, who are you kidding, Mr. Silver? What else was he going to say? He was caught in the act.
He was extraordinarily apologetic. The fact that he had no blemishes on prior involvement with.
Wait a minute. The guy in Utah who hurled insults, did they find any blemishes on him before they banned him for life?
Nope. The NBA or the Warriors, that a one-year ban seemed appropriate together with a fine.
Now, Mr. Silver, you
immediately after it happened.
It's not right. This is. The NBA is covering up for someone, and I'm not gonna have it. You can't tell me that the NBA did the proper thing here. I see this as racism. And journalism tends to take the NBA at its word when it comes to something like this, when they don't realize the fact that there have been many instances where players have been banned for drug offenses. Owners have been called on the carpet for instances and fined. But let me take you to my website. Now, I got a lot to talk here about. A month ago, I sent a letter to the people of Oakland. Stick with me. It was an apology letter. And in this apology letter, someone, after I posted it on Twitter, someone picked it up. A freelance writer. And this freelance writer contacted me on my website through this. He filled it out and sent me a message. And he said to me he was doing a story on the impact of the Warriors leaving Oakland, the Oakland community. And though I didn't know what he was really doing, what he wanted, I didn't think I was going to be able to help him. Why? Because I've experienced journalists have interviewed me for many stories based on what I'm doing. And if you notice here, the story has appeared. Now hold on, let me click on the story. This is the man's work. 11 miles, but a world away. The Warriors make their last stand in Oakland. Now, I appreciate the article, but I must criticize it. And the reason why I must criticize it, it's a long article. And it does describe some things that he hit the nail on the head. Ooh, look at that ugly guy. This long story pointed out exactly what my issue is about journalism. Sure, he did mention an awful lot of things, and I know by reading the article, he wasn't paying too much attention to me when the interview was going on. Let me show you one thing. He starts out the article, my name's in the first sentence. And he did a pretty good job. He didn't hoodwink me or anything like that. He told me what he was going to do in this article. But I had told him why I could not really see him writing an article, which was my issue was racism. And because my issue is on the Warriors' move is racism, I know journalists, they don't want to talk racism. He told me, yeah, well, it's too hard to prove. Well, let's go back to the issue of the billionaire pushing the NBA player. I see it as racism. Now, I know y'all don't think, well, that's not possible. That's not no racism. Well, I don't know. You can't tell me that a billionaire white man sitting courtside has the nerve enough to push one of the smallest black players on the court, not being some form of racism. He saw himself and his white privilege, white power, meaning money, and just decided, hey, he gave himself license to push one of the players. This is the mentality of the Golden State Warriors. And my NBADoesn'tCare.com website is dedicated to pointing that out. NBADoesn'tCare.com. Why would I do something like that? I did it to point out the hypocrisy that's in the NBA. And on the 1-year anniversary of my defeated ballot measure, Proposition I, which apologized for the city of San Francisco stealing the Warriors from Oakland, this man's article was published. Now, I'm telling you, I didn't plan this. I say it was God. You may not be able to see it, but it says June 5, 2019, under when it was published. 1 year to the day. I am telling you, people, that there is racism going on in the NBA between the Golden State Warriors and the city of Oakland and San Francisco, and I'm trying to raise my voice up against it. But when I bring it to the attention of journalists, oh no, we can't do. Oh, we can't say that. Oh, it's so hard to prove racism. Well, you got a bit of information coincidentally on the day that this was published. This, happened. Same day. A billionaire white man felt led to push a black player and told him to go F himself. Well, if that's the mentality, then you're going to bring that mentality over to San Francisco? This minority owner is also coming. You can't tell me that this man, who's 59 years old, is going to learn from this one incident. What am I saying? This is in his heart. And at 59 years old, and you got billions of dollars, and I might add that one very sharp, Shannon Sharp of Undisputed, if you know the program, you're with me. If you don't worry about it. He said that he did the math, and if you have $100,000 and you're fined $500,000, he was basically doing the calculations that it ended up to be like the equivalent of $22 if you made that much money. I mean, you're worth $2 billion. I don't know how he said it, but he did the math. I don't have those math skills, and he figured it out that the equivalent of pushing this man was $22 fine and a 1-year ban. But let's look at some of the other NBA bans. Let me see here. I'm trying to find something. Well, I can't find it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get on my tablet, and I'm saying, people, that there have been some fines in the NBA, and when you look at what the commissioner did here, it just doesn't add up. Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban was fined $500,000 for criticizing the officials. There was a former LA Laker by the name of Vladimir Radonovich. He was fined $500,000 for breaking a portion of his contract where he was not allowed to do snowboarding. Well, he went on a snowboarding excursion and got injured. The team fined him $500,000 for breaking one of the conditions of his contract, and he lost $600,000 or more in pay because of the injury. Kobe Bryant, many years ago, was fined $100,000 for calling someone a fag. But Donald Sterling was fined $2.5 million and banned from the NBA arena for life and forced to sell the Clippers, for which he pocketed $1.5 billion. Is that how you deal with racism? So my point is, if these fines and seriousness of the NBA is to be believed, what Adam Silver did in this case just doesn't add up. I'm not buying it. And when I say I'm not buying it also because journalism has a duty here. Now, let me get back to my article in this, The Ringer is where it was published. The man who wrote the article did an excellent job in pointing out where this issue affected the community of Oakland. But when I'm trying to make a statement, and I told him my issue is racism, nowhere in the article will you find the term racism. Why? He was too scared to use it. Now, he pointed out the fact that I gave him a book. It was an autobiography. I wanted him to know something about me. Well, apparently he didn't read the first page because what did he do? He said that I was born and raised in San Francisco. Well, I never told him that. And on the first page of my book, it says I was born in Denver. Then, one other thing. He felt led to point out the fact that I'm a homosexual, but he left off something that I found really disturbing. I told this man, as I've said on this program many times before, my father taught me to love, San Francisco taught me to respect, and God taught me never give up. I said that same thing to this freelance writer, but it was too much for him. He didn't want to put God in his article. So what did he do? He said, I said, San Francisco taught me to never give up. That's not even close to the truth. But that's that. But as he ends the article, let me go back to it. He did something that I said brings home my issue. In this article, he quoted me perfectly when he said, well, let me back up. He said that in one part of the article, he was doubting whether I really believed that I could stop the Warriors from moving to San Francisco. But what he did is he pointed out the fact that in the article, let me read it to you. I said, I had pointed out to him a story that was told to me. You get hundreds of penguins looking around, and then one of them jumps in the water. And then the others follow. That may be what has to happen here. Well, he said that perfectly. So, to bring home my point, journalism, penguin journalism, is emboldening racism because everyone is looking around for someone else to make the first move when it comes to talking about racism. And because journalists are scared and their bosses, editors, oh, no, we can't use that. No, we'll get sued. They will not touch the subject of racism. Now, what do you mean, Alan? I hear journalists all the time talking about Donald Trump and his racism. That is low-hanging fruit. But I'm saying to you people, for 5 years or more, I have been pointing out the racism in San Francisco, and my ballot measure was intending on bringing the issue up. When I told reporter after reporter what I was up to, oh, we can't talk about racism. Oh, we can't do that. Oh, we can't do that. They were looking around, not willing to talk about the issue. So, what is the result? The result is people like this clown in this video here, courtside, get to do their actions and only get a 1-year fine. I mean, a 1-year ban. But after that 1 year is up, this man and his racist antics will still be in the NBA. And, though I don't think that it's going to happen, let's just say, for the sake of argument, the Warriors move to San Francisco. Well, the NBA has promised they're going to bring All-Star game here. Well, you're going to have somebody who's a part owner of the Warriors profiting off the Warriors in San Francisco, who have been unkind to its black communities. And then you have the nerve to have an NBA All-Star game here. People, let me tell you something. The NBA took the NBA All-Star game in 2017 away from the state of North Carolina. Why? Because they deemed the practices of the state to be discriminatory against transgender people. Well, if you can punish a whole state for its discrimination, why is it that the NBA and penguin journalism not pointing the finger at San Francisco's racism? Because I'm telling you, it's here. And it needs to stop. And it'll only stop if one of these journalists first jumps in the water. Until next time.